Hey, Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA. So on my video blog, I share how I made my fortune in real estate, starting at 19, millionaire by 28. Today, I'm kind of calling out Meet Kevin. Meet Kevin, a young guy, charismatic kid. He's not really an investor in my opinion, but he's actually selling investment courses. I don't even know if he's ever made a profit on a property because I don't think he's ever shown a situation where he's actually sold a property. But today, I'm showing you a video. He had called out Manny Koshbin. Manny Koshbin is a veteran real estate investor like myself. He's made a fortune. And he actually made a video that was just so insultingly titled, I had to come back on it.
Who doesn't want land, right? Well, I don't.
We're gonna look at how Kevin, absolute amateur investor, trying to school a mega millionaire, a real estate millionaire, like me, somebody that's made millions of dollars as an investor. He's going to tell him what he doesn't know, he thinks. Now watch how he starts his video. It's absolutely insulting.
But that's a red flag. A big one.
No, it's not! What are you talking about? This is... Look, I like you, Manny, but this is making me question.
So he's trying to be condescending to somebody, but he doesn't realize he's making a fool of himself. Let's keep going.
Hey everyone, Kevin here. You may have heard of Manny Koshbin before. He's the dude on YouTube who drives around the fancy and luxurious cars and shows them off on his YouTube channel, and almost every one of his videos goes nearly viral because of the attention these beautiful cars draw. And don't get me wrong, they're great. I'm interested in watching those myself. But lately, Manny's also been stepping into the real estate game in terms of real estate education. Manny happens to have a background in commercial real estate and is giving us advice on how to buy and invest in real estate on the second channel he created.
So Manny has opened up another YouTube channel on real estate to share his experience in real estate investing. He's a veteran. He's been doing it longer than Kevin's even lived, like me. And I think that's where this is going. Kevin is a little bit concerned about some competition.
Today, I wanted to watch one of his videos with you and respond to some of his suggestions to see if I, as an experienced residential investment, not only broker, but also investor himself, think about his suggestions.
Now that is actually the extent of Kevin's experience, what he just said. And that is exactly why he should not be teaching people to invest.
Let's give it a shot and let's see what he thinks compared to what I think. Here we go.
Safe and sound. Today I want to talk to you guys about some of the red flags and green flags. These are some of the items to look out for when you're buying a residential or commercial property. First and foremost, lot size. Obviously you want to buy land, right? The bigger the lot, the more valuable the property is. Now, residential or commercial, doesn't matter. If it's residential, you have a bigger backyard. Homeowners love to have a bigger backyard, possibly put a pool in if it doesn't have a pool. If it's a commercial property, you have more parking ratio, right?
Any good investor, experienced investor knows that. The more land, the better. Doesn't matter whether it's commercial or residential or industrial. The more land, the better. Gives you way more options. Doesn't matter what the zoning is. Hey, quickly to emphasize what Manny was talking about is the extra lot size. Let's say you have an office and you got extra lot. You got extra lot that isn't really needed. Well, here's the deal. It is needed for a lot of different things. But like he said, you have the option now. You can put in a drive-through at a restaurant, you know, in this that has going to require extra parking. Parking for restaurants is much more than it is for your average commercial. So you've got an option for a drive-through, you add more parking here. The other scenario for like in office buildings is the old style office back in the 50s when they built it, there was file cabinets. File cabinets used to fill the room of just about every single office because there was just so much paperwork generated. That's not how it is today. So an office like this might have, you know, huge lateral files or just file cabinets on every wall, and you'd have one big desk in the middle, one person sitting at it. So now you have an office building filled with offices like this that only prepared to park for one person per office. But now, the way it is today, let's take a look. Today, it's like this. You get rid of the file cabinets and you put in stations, and now you got 4 people inside of one office And that's why that extra land is so important.
Red flag would be if the property has a very small lot.
So Manny says that you want a large lot because you want land. Who doesn't want land, right? Well, I don't.
Okay, so Kevin doesn't want more land, but Manny does, and I do too. And if you're a new investor, you do too. This is where Kevin's advice actually becomes dangerous, okay? His point of view would actually defeat creating wealth. And this is why I get concerned about people that think he knows what he's talking about. So let's keep going.
See, as much as we hear things like, oh, they don't create any more land.
Okay, you can build a bigger house, but you can't make more land.
We should own land. We want to be landowners, like those Jeffersonian people we heard about, I don't know, back in U.S. history in middle school or elementary school, who knows. But the point is, land and being a real estate investor don't always mix. First of all, buying straight up land sucks because you can't get a loan on it.
Actually, he's wrong. Kevin is wrong about that. In fact, land, I'll tell you one of the things about land, what's great about it, yeah, banks don't necessarily like to loan on it, but guess what? They're the best opportunities in the world for owner finance. Owner finance. There's nothing better. Made a fortune in it. Let's go back to my book again, right? This book's got lots of owner finance in it. Let me tell you, that's where I have made a fortune. Anyhow, that's
a loan on it, and we call it an alligator. It takes your money.
Yeah, that's also not true. Depending on the land, I've actually taken parcels of land or large properties. One I just made $2 million on, or a little over $2 million. That thing, actually, I bought it right. I bought it for about $200,000. I sold it for $2.8 million. Now, I did hold it for over 15 years.
And I certainly am not going to install a pool to try to get a return on my investment. Generally, when people spend $100,000 on a pool, they might get $20,000 back in value. So a large lot can actually lead you to spend money on things that don't make you money.
Yeah, there's no pressure ever to put in a swimming pool. In fact, if you're buying the property to rent, you don't even want a swimming pool.
Or you end up burdening your tenants with more maintenance, or you end up getting stuck with more maintenance. That's residential. Now, in commercial real estate, I get this POV. And remember, Manny comes from the commercial real estate sector. So this is very important in terms of a distinction because everybody's kind of got different ways of looking at things. Now,
I'll give Kevin a little bit on that. Kevin, basically what he's talking about, if there's a bigger yard, there's more yard to mow. Okay. That's a given. To some people, it's a plus. Though some people have a motorhome to park in there. Some people have kids. They want to give them a big yard to play with. So again, it just depends on your tenant.
Now, I've also been a commercial real estate broker in terms of helping people buy and sell offices and so on and so forth. Yes, parking is extremely valuable, but land itself isn't the only thing you want to look for. Here's why. Let's say this is either a neighborhood with a bunch of houses, or you know what, it's a strip mall on one side and a strip mall on the other side. And each of these are little subdivided lots. This one has 50,000 square feet, 50,000 square feet. Over here, they all have an equal 50,000 square feet. And over here, you've got this large one that's 120,000 square feet, and this one that's 30,000 square feet. It's kind of sandwiched in there. Which one of these is the best deal?
It's really not that hard to figure out. If you've got 50 and you got a 30, then it's already been, the precedent is set. You're going to be able to break that lot into the like kind stuff that's around it. So you're not going to have really much trouble breaking that into either 260s or maybe 340s or 430s, okay? 430, because we're talking about square footage a lot. Now, the argument he's talking about might be valid if he was talking about houses and being the largest house in that neighborhood, but he's not. He's talking about the land, and he's kind of missing it. So let's keep going.
Well, if you said the largest one, you could be right, but you could also be wrong. See, what happens in real estate is always relative. And the best way to get the best deal is by buying something that's very easy to price. The easiest thing to price in this picture is this stuff. All of these units that are exactly the same square footage in the lot. Because there's only one 120,000 square foot lot and only one 30,000 square foot lot, it's really hard to know how much of a premium we're supposed to pay for this lot and how much of a discount we're supposed to take on this.
The more land, the better. Especially what's going on across the country right now. They're redensifying areas and they're making it possible to build more. People are putting flag lots now. A flag lot, if you don't know what a flag lot is, flag lot, basically, let's just say this was your property right here, and you got a house here. A flag lot lets you come back here, and essentially, this is it. This is the flag pole, and this is it. They build another house back here, okay? That's a flag lot. So, yeah, Manny is correct. It is. Some of the other advantages, obviously, if you have a property like so, and in fact, I think Meet Kevin here made a little something, and he was talking about, this lot being worth 30, or maybe that was the size, and this is 50, and this is 50, and this one's 120, I think. Okay, so yeah, here's the deal. This is 4 times the size of this smaller lot right here. You can break this into 4 lots, and you'd still have 4 at 30, okay? Or you could do 2 at 60, and they would be more desirable than these 2 over here at 50. But the bottom line is, in general, the rule of thumb is, for me, my experience, is you don't get twice as much for a property that's twice as big. When it's just the raw land, you'll get 1.5 times more. Whatever the 1 1/4 acres are going for, you get a 2.5 acre in there. Unless it's already split, that's different. But if it's not already split, you might get 1.5 times more than what you get. It's not twice as much, unless of course it's 2 separate lots already. So Manny is correct. That is 100% true.
The concept of binormal comes up. Anytime you're thinking about buying anything, commercial real estate or residential, as soon as you start deviating from what's normal in an area, you tend to get ripped off.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Let me explain why. He said, don't buy anything that isn't normal. And he's talking about a piece of land being big. Like, that's not normal. Guess what? It used to be acres of land before it was chopped up into smaller pieces. So here's the problem. If you were talking about houses and you had like a bunch of regular houses, then all of a sudden somebody made a house that looks like an igloo, that would be a case to not buy that, because that's not normal, okay? But we're talking about land here, let's remember, okay? So now on land, let me tell you why that advice is so flawed that he just gave you. So here's normal, small lots, right? Here's normal, little lots over here. Okay, here's abnormal, right? This is the bigger lot, the big one in the neighborhood. Even this is probably like this. So this is a big abnormal lot that Kevin told you not to buy. Well, I bought that lot. And let me tell you why. This lot, because of its size and because of where that house was, the house was all the way toward the front, where some of these houses might be like in the middle, on these ones. I bought this. Wasn't normal. House is way forward. That's not normal. What's not normal? Also, is that it was the biggest lot. Not normal, but guess what? Very, very profitable. This, by just cutting this lot in 2, I'm leaving this house on here, and now it doesn't even affect the value of this property. It's still the same value when I cut away that lot. But what's the difference is now I have a lot right here that's worth $300,000.
That is, if you're buying in San Francisco and all of the houses have 2,000 square foot lots, buy a similar 2,000 square foot lot. If everyone in the neighborhood has a 10,000 square foot lot and yours has a 3,000 square foot lot, don't buy. That's weird. It's not normal. So it's very dangerous to say just because something has a small lot or just because something has a big lot, it's either a bad deal or a good deal. It all comes down to relativity.
Okay, so what Kevin is missing here is that the larger the property, there's more value. You can't, like he said, he makes fun of it like it doesn't make sense to him because whatever, maybe it's the millennial view, but they're re-densifying the properties in cities now, and you might find that your lot, because it's bigger, there's an opportunity in the future that you can just tear the house down and you can cut it into 2 or 3 lots. So, Manny has got that one. Kevin, not so much.
So residential, that's obvious because of noise, railroad, freeway, anything that's got a lot of noise, it's obviously a disadvantage to the property and it's not attractive for buyers. Now,
and yes, he's 100% correct on that too. Having a residential property next to a freeway, you're going to get dinged.
If it's a commercial property, it's a different story. It could play both ways. If you got freeway signage, a lot of tenants love that.
But you do want to be next to the freeway. You want to be as close to that freeway as you can be and still have your signage
exposed.
Now, if it's a commercial property, it's a different story. It could play both ways, but in general, you want to stay away from...
Dude, okay, look, I get it. Obviously, you don't want to have a house under a freeway. But wait a minute, Manny.
Okay, so now we went from like Kevin's worst advice he could give, and now we're about to see the most worthless advice Kevin gives. It's kind of a look at the balloons moment, because he really doesn't know anything about the subject, and he doesn't know what to say, so he fills it with this silliness. Anyways, let's keep going.
I happen to have looked up your properties before. I happen to know where they are. You don't make them that hard to find, okay? This right here happens to be one of Manny's commercial buildings. You can see it's an office space, or maybe it's even part warehouse or storage, or I don't know, who cares, whatever it is. And okay, it's here on like a 6-lane road. That's fine. That's fine. And he said you should try to be away from loud areas, though. Oh dear. This is the Costa Mesa Freeway, and it'd be cool if we got some signage, but it looks like he's under it.
No, that's not so at all. That is a prime property, beautiful location. Just the frontage alone that he's got on that street is amazing. I mean, the 6 lanes, that's amazing. But you add that freeway, I got one just like it, I'll show you right now. And I just now actually fixed the facade just because that signage is so valuable.
Then any apartments, by the way, there's one of my buildings right there. See that giant for lease sign visible to the highway back there? That's very important.
In fact, I don't know unless there's something stopping him with a local city ordinance. That pink wall over there that's to the left of his building that you see, obviously the top of that building where he's got a big sign, that's going to be seen, but that side on the left, that's being wasted. There should be some signage right there at the top of that one as well, because that freeway is prime. Everybody that drives by will see it.
All right, so that concludes what I think are the worst advice remarks that were made by Kevin. Now, what Kevin didn't cover in his video are what Manny talks about next. What are some of the best tips you could know? And you really, really want to hear this. Also, I add in a couple things where I talk about a guy that I know that made $5 million by taking these exact same tips that Manny goes on to tell.
And manage it better, and thereby improve the property's performance and add value.
There is a fortune to be made in mismanaged properties. In fact, the last strip center that I bought, not the last one, but maybe second or to last strip center that I bought, it was not managed well. It was only 70% occupied. Even being 70% occupied, it still had a 7.5% return, and that was also with it being rented under market. So the rents were too low. And even with rents being low and it only being 70% occupied, it still gave a 7.5% cap rate. So yes, there's a lot of gold in mismanaged property. So yes, Manny, you are correct.
Last on my list is if the property is poorly listed. You may ask why. That should be a red flag, but to me it's a green flag. If it's poorly listed, that means the person listing the property, the broker listing the property, didn't put the property in the best light. And that, to me, creates an opportunity because it's not being marketed properly.
Yeah, Manny, 100%. I'll tell you a story real quick. Guy sitting in a coffee shop and in a cafe, and he overhears 2 farmers talking. And what are they talking about? They're talking about another farmer that just died, and he's got 160 acres, and they're talking to each other about it. Well, this guy that overheard him came over and said, "Hey, tell me about this." And they said, "Oh yeah, they're going to have a sale this Sunday. They're asking people to be out there on Sunday, and they're going to just find the highest bidder and they're going to sell it." Well, this guy didn't see anything advertised. He just heard these 2 old farmers talking about it. So sure enough, he goes out there to this house that's in the middle of 160 acres, and there's a for sale sign next to the house where nobody can see it. And so he goes out there, gets a number, talks to the agent, and guess what? He gets there Sunday. He gets there Sunday, and guess what? He's the only one there. He's the only one there. That was a poorly listed property. The heirs to the guy that died, they were from Oklahoma, where property's like $100 an acre, okay, or $1,000 an acre, and this property is worth $40,000 an acre. Okay, so he's the only one there. So what's he do? He offers them $1,000 an acre, and they go, "Well, sounds pretty good to us." And the agent, she didn't know what the hell she was doing. She's the one who did a terrible job listing it. She said, "Okay, let's sign it up." They wrote it up, and believe me, that was the most torturous 2 months ever for that guy, because he signed up that deal. He got it. It was going through probate, so now he had to sit there and wait to get through about 60 days time before the property would be released to him. But boy, you talk about a home run. He sold half that 160 acres for $2.8 million, and then he sold the other half of that property for like $2.5. So he made over $5 million just because that property was poorly listed. The agent and the heirs, and that's why I tell you guys, inherited wealth is the quickest wasted. It is the quickest to be thrown away and wasted. I've taken advantage of it myself. I've made some great deals on properties that I bought from agents that were selling it for people that just didn't care. You know, I bought a lake house. And there was 8 heirs. They go, "Oh, 8 of us, we want $80,000. Okay, no problem. It was worth a lot more than that. Okay, a lot more. So, yep, Manny, correct, and great point. Be sure to get my book. It's only $10 on Kindle. You'll be so glad you did.